We are at 5 now, just need 2 more.
C6.
Input level.
Okay, we have a few more people in the. That's 7.
So we got a quorum then? Or we one short still?
I think we have 7. We have David, Amy, Nick, Joan, Elaine, Aaron. Oh wait, we do need one more.
One more.
To Christina. Wait.
I like this silent retreat to begin our meetings, our meditation time, I guess.
Moment of
All right, we now have 7.
Okay.
We can begin.
Okay, so let's start. This is the Solid Waste Advisory Committee of Thurston County. And do a roll call, please.
David Nightingale,
Here.
Greg Schoenbachler.
Present online.
Ah, beautiful. Gary Edwards has been excused. Amy Evans Harding.
Here, hello.
Hello. Lisa Partially. Nicholas Dunning.
Present.
Joan Kathy.
Present.
Trevor Palmer. Elaine Clam. Saw you already. Kirsten Presley. Renee.
Excused.
Chad Sutter. Aaron Robertson.
Good morning.
Christina Colberg.
Here.
Right, and
Couple vacancies.
I'll go over staff and guests.
Go right ahead.
Okay, yeah, first in your room, looks like we have Amanda Romero and Laura Glover.
hello everyone.
I can't see who else you have, because I can't tell from that picture. Who else do you have in the room from staff? Oh, looks like Hope.
Hi.
Is that it for staff?
No, we also have Lisa.
Lisa Harrison.
Here.
the
Oh, okay.
New member from District 4.
And then online, we have Tony Basinger.
Hello.
And with her is April Rowe.
Hi.
I see Marinka Major
Hello, everyone.
and Matt Samuelson. These are all Public Works.
Good morning.
From other, I don't think did I miss any other Public Works employees first before I move on to other county employees? If not, let's see, from Public Health, Social Services, we have Jessica Goulet
Hello.
and Kylie Graber. And let's see, then we have from Community Planning and Economic Development, Amelia Schwartz.
Hello.
And then from the Commissioner's Office, Rebecca Harvey.
Morning.
And did I miss any other county employees?
Jennifer Johnson is also here from Thurston County Public Health and Social Services.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you, because it shows up
Yep.
on the Skylar Gaber. All right,
Oh, strange. Okay, thank you.
that's why I didn't see it. Okay, and then we have as far as other guests. Let's see. We've got Kenton Martin. Hi, okay, there we go. Let's see. Oh, Colin Neckerman from PDF Renewables. Have Emily Rhodes from HDR. Wendy Mifflin from Herrera.
Hi, all.
And I see Ron Jones from the city of Olympia.
Hello, thank you.
And I think I got everybody. Let's see, Jeff Miller. Jeff, and you're from representing. I don't know. You're muted.
Hi, I'm representing a waste to energy startup business.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Is there anybody I missed? Okay, great. All right.
So is Lisa Harrison a new SWAC member?
Not quite yet. We're,
Hasn't been approved by the board.
yeah, it's in limbo right
In
now.
process.
Yes, in
Okay,
process.
great. Well, welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah. District 4, great. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, so agenda minutes. Any comments on the agenda for today, October 2nd? Any correction, additions, deletions?
I just had one correction. The agenda I sent out was actually dated for last meeting, but it's been corrected, so that'll be put forth.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. So meeting minutes rather for September 4th. I looked over them, they look fine, except I think I excused myself from that meeting in August. So-
I'll change that.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't just not show up. Great. Anything else for September 4th minutes that was sent out? Corrections? Anything from anybody? No? Okay, so I have a motion to approve the agenda for September 4th, or the minutes from September 4th.
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, great, thank you very much. Then we have public comments, a letter, email from Stephen, reporter Stephen. And thought that was interesting about the senior discounts. Somebody from staff want to talk about this, what the process has been and where we're at with this?
I will take that. So yeah, so if you've read that over, basically to give a little background on this issue is this past year, Waste Connections, LeMay, basically put in for a rate increase through the Washington UTC. There's a process for that. They provide a cost of service analysis to the UTC. And then, basically they approve or alter or change the rates. And so officially, I believe, so they approved the rate request, and I believe they started about a couple months ago. So there was an inquiry to the UTC about why is there not an offer or an opportunity for a discount. Again, let's be clear, this is for curbside collection rates. This isn't about tipping fees at our facility. Okay, so the question was there any opportunity for discounted rates for low-income seniors or low-income households? And the UTC came back and said, well, basically they responded to this inquiry from this individual that to do that, they would need to receive a request to look into that from Thurston County. And they reference RCW 81.77.195. This allows for that. So here's what let me just get, it's a very brief citation from that piece of code. And what it says is, upon request of a county, the commission may approve rates, charges, or services at a discount for low-income senior customers and low-income customers as adopted by the county in its comprehensive solid waste management plan. As you know, this was not a piece of our current solid waste management plan. So just, and that was the finish, the last sentence said, expenses and lost revenues as a result of these discounts must be included in the company's cost of service and recovered in rates to others. So in other words, if you offer the discount, somebody else is gonna pay the net for that. But it needs to be something that's incorporated into an adopted solid waste management plan. That does not exist in our current plan. But that being said, in about 1.5 years to 2, we'll be going through that planning process again. So I see this as something that we can take a look at in the next plan update. So it's something to be considered at that time. But so anyway, that's where we're at on this one. Just a heads up. And as you know, the solid waste management planning process runs primarily through the SWAC. So there will be more than enough opportunity to make that consideration in our next plan update. So that's the update on that piece. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Jeff. I had a question regarding, does anybody know, and I probably should know and I don't, if there's ever been a discounted senior and low income in this county? I do not know.
I do not believe so.
No history of that.
That is my understanding.
Okay. Anybody else have questions or comments? So we can have this as part of what we talk about when we're reviewing and updating the plan then. So can somebody respond to Stephen and tell him that is our intent?
Absolutely. We are hoping that we invited him to the meeting today, but I believe he's not here. So yeah, we will communicate that out.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Okie doke. Any old business? I don't see any on the agenda. Anybody have old business they want to bring up? Okay, let's go on to new then. So Amelia Schwartz, are you ready to talk about the comprehensive plan and the climate element in that? And maybe to say, comprehensive plan of what? So it's kind of a generic term, a little more specific about what does that mean?
Will do. All right, everyone able to hear me and see the first screen?
Looking good. Sounding
Alright.
good.
Great. Hello, my name is Amelia Schwartz. I'm an associate planner with Thurston County. We are working on an update to our Thurston County comprehensive plan, and today I'm going to be talking about the climate element update.
Can you tell us what the comprehensive?
That is one of the slides.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you. So today we're going to go over a summary of the climate element, the plan and context, resilience, greenhouse gas emissions, goals and policies, and the timeline and opportunities to comment. So the comprehensive plan sets the guiding principles and vision for how and where development occurs in a county, and cities and other locations do comprehensive plans. Our last periodic update was completed in 2019 and with smaller annual updates since. So the periodic update is required on a 10-year cycle. Thurston 2045, which is our current update process we're doing right now, plans for the next 20 years up to 2045. It ensures consistency with changes in state law, and it builds off and it updates the existing plan. This update is due December 31st, 2025, and we're kind of about halfway through the process right now. So we're at step 3 on this timeline. We are going through Planning Commission review. We've been going chapter by chapter, and we are hopefully getting to a public hearing in January 2025. After that public hearing, then we will go on to the Board of County Commissioners review and process. And so that is still a public process. There'll be more time to engage and attend work sessions. And all of this is, of course, open the entire time. So for this new climate element, which is mandated by the state, so this is completely new, the state is requiring this. And it's requiring two main focuses, and that's resilience and greenhouse gas emissions. So resilience policies will seek to advance environmental justice, adapt to and mitigate the effects of a changing climate, and protect and enhance the environment, economy, and human health and safety. Greenhouse gas emission reduction policies seek to measure, reduce, and eliminate local greenhouse gas emissions and per capita vehicle miles traveled. So the main sectors in resilience in Thurston County are human well-being and public services, which includes climate hazards and how they can impact public health, how impacts are felt disproportionately across the county and across communities within the county, and public services that are at risk, but how we can also build them to be more resilient in the face of climate change. Ecosystems and water resources, such as projected impacts and how those will degrade habitat and increase competition for water. Infrastructure, and how energy delivery and transportation may be disrupted during climate events, as well as energy demand will increase with extreme temperature events. Community design, land use, and economic development. That's going to be how development can lead to more wildland-urban interface areas, which can be more at risk of wildfire. Flooding, sea level rise, and wildfire can disrupt business operations such as agriculture, aquaculture, in addition to human and wildlife health and safety. Natural resource lands and economies, that includes croplands, livestock, and shellfish, which all face risk of impacts from heat, flooding, wildfire, increased pests, all the variety of things that will come with climate change. And then greenhouse gas emissions, we had our contractors have been working with the UW Climate Center and a few other resources to be gathering a greenhouse gas emission study to see where our emissions are actually coming from so we can target the policies on those. So transportation is the county's largest source of greenhouse gas emissions. Energy use in residential and commercial buildings is the second. And then other sources include refrigerants, waste, and wastewater treatment. And I'll kind of let people have a second if you're able to see the graph. And of course, this is online and accessible at any time on our Thurston County, Thurston 2045 page. So the goals and policies, these proposed updates are to meet GMA, that's the Growth Management Act, which is a state requirement consistency, the county's vision, and then also streamlining our policies and goals with what the county can do and between chapters. The climate element goals and policies seek to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and build community resilience. So the goals and policies in this draft element cover zonings, buildings and energy, transportation, waste management, water resource management, community well-being and emergency services, cultural resources and practices, environment and ecosystems, agriculture and food systems, economic development, and partnerships and collaboration. So next steps, we have a partial draft available for review and comment online now, thurston2045.org, and you can see all the existing goals and policies that we have currently. We are going to be getting a second draft, hopefully in the next several weeks, and that will be taking into account additional public comment we have received and the Planning Commission comment we have received. So we hope to have the full draft online by November. And then we are hoping to bring everything back to the Planning Commission for public hearing in January 2025. At all times, and I'll go back to that so you can see the website. At all times, you can be reading this. It is online, it's easy to access, and you can be submitting comments on our web, like our web portal. We have a SurveyMonkey set up specifically so that we can track comments and see them live. And then you can always email me to ask any questions or email Maya Teeple, whose email is on the website as well. And I know I only had 15 minutes, so I wanted to make sure I got that through very quickly.
Thank you.
I had a question about that chart with the pie chart. We had, you said energy use, but then it just said electricity 24%. So if you're just using electricity, you're not doing emissions. if you're using electricity, and you have gas separate there, can you tell me with that a little bit, understand what?
I would have to pull up the methodology for that since I wasn't part of this study. I'm not sure.
Okay,
I wonder if it's.
I can speak to that if you don't mind, Amelia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Rebecca Harvey, Climate Mitigation Senior Program Manager. I'm working with Amelia on this project as well. So the emissions from electricity are how you do a greenhouse gas inventory is you collect the data from the utility on total usage, and this graph is showing the county-wide emissions. So from all residential, commercial, and industrial users throughout Thurston County, and they get the data from Puget Sound Energy on the total kilowatt hours in each of those sectors. And then those are totaled up and multiplied by an emissions factor, which is based on the energy fuel makeup of the electric grid.
oh, so this is including gas and coal-fired plants that are supplying electricity to us from PSC?
Yes, the
Oh, gotcha.
electricity emissions take into account what fuel sources go into the grid. And then
Gotcha.
the natural gas emissions are separate.
Direct use.
Mhm.
Okay, great, thank you.
While you're on that chart, I was curious about the tree loss. That's a big, is there a robust plan for that in the going forward plan?
So we do have goals and policies coming in for tree loss mitigation. And we also, Thurston County is right now in the midst of a tree canopy study. And that's going to be coming in with a lot of the tools we can use moving forward. And that's also, if you just Google Thurston County Tree Canopy Study, there's a webpage dedicated that and you can sign up for email notifications.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Thanks. Maybe it's just semantics, I'm not sure, but in a lot of these, comp plan types of things, they talk about, they always put in there that we're going to cover or we're interested in, or it's a requirement or something for environmental justice. And I always wonder, what exactly does that mean? Because it obviously must mean something important or something different for each organization who does a comp plan. We're in the midst of that in Tumwater. And so what would, when you get to that element or that piece of it, what happens at this organization? What is environmental justice as we're putting this together?
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that our goals and policies not only don't hurt marginalized groups, and that could be elderly folk, that could be people who don't speak English as their first language, that can be people who live below the poverty line. So we're trying to do things that don't worsen the impacts of climate change for them, and hopefully improve their situation if we can. And also putting in we're trying to go with climate incentive language for what we can, where we can bring people to climate change, thoughtful policies and work rather than something punitive. And so, yeah, we're trying to work with aspects of the community and work for aspects of the community that often get ignored or passed over or overburdened by policies. So that's what environmental justice here is.
Very good. I like that. And in some areas, just like you mentioned, where it might be low income or, housing doesn't look as good as it does in another neighborhood. So they decide to put their road through there. Or as someone mentioned about trees, they cut the trees down around some of these places. So I'm glad that we have that in there. Sounds like you're, you know what you're talking about and we're going to do it. So that's good.
We're trying, and I really encourage everyone when they get a chance to go through the draft plan and call us in. If you see something that's missing, please, now is the time to go ahead, send us an email, add a comment to the webpage, and let us know what we're missing and what we can add.
Okay. Great. Sounds good. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Amelia? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Amelia. Appreciate you helping us out with this.
Thank
So let's go on to solar installation update. Rebecca Harvey?
Hi again, everyone. I am sharing my slides here. Let's see. Hang on one sec. Let me make my screen big and then I'll share them. I have a hard time. I'm sorry, I'm on my laptop and it's sometimes a little wonky. Bear with me.
We all are victim to that from time to time.
There we go. All right, thank you. Okay, so I am providing an update today on our Thurston County's partnership with Puget Sound Energy and EDF Renewables to develop a solar energy project on the closed landfill at the Thurston County Waste and Recovery Center, or WARC. I did last present to the SWAC in February of 2024. So this will be familiar to some of you, most of you, I think. I've been working very closely with Jeff Bickford on this, as well as other public works staff all along the way. And as you heard at the beginning, Colin Nackerman and Kenton Martin from EDF Renewables, our partner, are also here today to help answer any questions if they come up. Thurston County and the cities of Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater have an ongoing partnership to identify and implement actions to reduce local greenhouse gas emissions. This is the Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative. And we have a plan that focuses on reducing emissions across these 5 sectors. This will look kind of familiar to what Amelia just presented because we have been working very closely with community planning and economic development to make sure that the climate element that she just presented on is aligning with our existing Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. So a lot of the sectors and the policies within the climate plan are aligning with our agreed upon actions and strategies with these in the multi-jurisdictional plan with the cities. So buildings and energy, within the buildings and energy sector, one of the key strategies to reduce emissions is to increase the production of local renewable energy. And that's where this project fits in. Remind you a little bit of where this idea came from. It was in 2023 that Puget Sound Energy issued an RFP called Distributed Solar and Storage. And they did so in part to help meet their goals of their clean energy implementation plan to fulfill the state requirements under the Clean Energy Transformation Act, or CETA. And a private solar developer by the name of EDF Renewables approached the county at that time about this opportunity. And county staff identified the landfill as a priority location because there is a growing movement across the country to install solar on closed landfills and other brownfield sites. These lands generally have great sun exposure and limited other opportunities for redevelopment. So it looked like a really good opportunity for us to take our open space on the landfill that's not being used for anything else and apply for this opportunity. So distributed solar refers to small-scale power systems that are interconnected to the electric grid, as opposed to a large standalone solar farm. These are smaller scale distributed systems. They have many benefits that are illustrated here, such as generating electricity in communities where the power is consumed, connecting to the existing infrastructure so they don't require construction of new substation or distribution lines. Distributed solar is a prime strategy that the utilities use to increase the resiliency of the local distribution grid. And they have a smaller footprint than those large solar farms as well. So it's a key part of Puget Sound Energy's strategy for greening the grid. And specifically for Thurston County, there are a number of benefits. You've seen this slide in my previous presentations. The first and kind of most tangible benefit to the county is that the project will provide revenue in the form of lease payments. So this is a lease model where the county will lease the land to the private solar developer and receive monthly payments for the land. It will generate clean and reliable electricity and help us meet our countywide as well as state climate mitigation goals. Again, it repurposes the vacant land that can't be developed for something else. And it does have some limited workforce development benefits, but in terms of the construction jobs and local contracting opportunities. And the other benefits that you see here. I don't need to go through all of those because I have shared this before. So here's a summary of our progress through March of this year. Again, I have gone through this the past time I presented in the spring of 2023. The county published a notice of intent to lease and made that public. And we did receive the one proposal from EDFR. So once we had that, then we were ready to go forward with the partnership with EDFR. In the meantime, EDFR was submitting their proposal to Puget Sound Energy for the project and received a notice that they were awarded that PSE shortlisted the project last August. So that was 2023. And that fall, we worked with our attorneys to craft agreements to allow the company to have site control for setting up what they needed on the Puget Sound Energy side. So as of March, we executed 2 agreements with EDFR, which are an option to lease and a right of entry. And the option to lease agreement grants EDFR the exclusive right and option to lease a defined project area on the property for the purpose of developing and maintaining the solar PV facility. And it established an option term of up to 2 years, during which the county and EDFR agree to engage in good faith negotiations regarding a lease of the area for mutually agreeable terms and conditions, and stated that during this term, the county would not use the project area in any way that would conflict or interfere with the installation of a solar facility, installation or operation of a solar facility. And alongside of that, we also executed a right of entry agreement, and that one specifically grants EDFR the right to enter onto the project area during that same 2-year term to perform their preliminary site assessment activities to assess the feasibility of the solar PV installation. And it prohibits specific invasive activities without the express written permission of the county, such as soil disrupting, digging, destructive testing, or the use of heavy vehicles or equipment. So once we had those 2 agreements in place, in March, EDFR was kind of free to go. We actually haven't talked a whole lot to them, so I'm excited that we're meeting today and we have the team here because things are now progressing this fall. And just a quick view here of the conceptual project plan. I'll update you on what's happening this fall in a couple more slides. But the site here is outlined in blue on the image. It's an area of about 25 acres of open land on the closed landfill. And the system would generate an estimated 3 megawatts AC of power to the electric grid. And I've calculated that's about 375 times the average home rooftop solar system. And here's a more detailed draft project design that EDF has developed, which includes the likely point of interconnection to the grid, the areas that are too sloped to support the racking systems, the location of the proposed perimeter fence, access points, and other specific details. And I will emphasize again that a key aspect to their proposal is that EDFR has a lot of experience in developing solar on environmentally sensitive sites, including capped landfills. So that includes best practices such as using concrete ballasted racking systems and above ground cabling, avoiding penetration of the ground or risking any damage to the landfill cap or facility operations. So the current status, since we secured site control in April 2024, is we completed a fair market value assessment of the property. EDFR completed the critical analysis report, site visit and permit matrix, identified local environmental and engineering firm and subcontractors, and they are in the process of supporting PSE with the ongoing interconnection studies and electrical grid upgrades, as well as negotiating a power purchase agreement, which is the mechanism by which that power that is produced on site is purchased by the utility for the electric grid. And that is in progress, and I understand is almost finalized, and the guys here could speak to that if there are questions, but my understanding is this fall, possibly end of this month, that PPA, power purchase agreement, will be executed, and at that point, we can really delve into the long-term lease agreements. We're thinking probably about a 25-year lease that the county and EDFR will sign. So we can work on those negotiations, and then the company can begin the full engineering, design, and permitting process and start working through Thurston County's permitting process as well. And I will stop there. And again, Colin and Kenton are here as well. If there are any questions, thanks.
Thank you, Rebecca. My question is there negotiations involving revenue to the county for this installation?
The assessment, the fair market value assessment, essentially determined what that would be. And I think that we would just follow what is in the assessment and put that into the draft lease. But yes, I mean, that could be negotiated at this point, but we would start with what came out of that assessment. And I think that it was, Jeff, maybe you remember $1,600 a month per acre.
I believe
Per year.
it was about 30,000 for the year, if I recall.
30, yeah,
Annual basis.
based on the number of acres. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for Rebecca?
Sure, this is Matt. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
Hey, I'm curious if you have or you've been provided with an estimated date for construction.
We do not have that yet. We're still working through these steps here. We have been saying 2025. At this point, it'll certainly be in 2025. Colin, Kenton, do you have an estimated timeline?
Yeah, I could take that. I think so. As Rebecca said, we're really close. We did get word last week, I believe, from Puget Sound that the board actually approved all of these projects that we're developing. So hopefully, then therefore they can proceed with signing the PPA. So hopefully that occurs in October this year. In terms of schedule, we don't, working with you guys closely, and hopefully we'll, all necessary site diligence and permitting is achieved within a good time frame. But high level, we're thinking maybe January 2026 start construction. But for this specific project, if we can get through whatever you all need from the county level to approve the project and allow us to get 2 building permits, for example, if that only took 6 or 9 months, some of that could be expedited or shifted further into 2025. So let's say anywhere Q3 of 2025 to the beginning of 2026 would be construction. And then when it'd be about 6 to 9 months to get through full construction and operation.
Yeah, so everybody's aware we're looking at the reconfiguration out at the Warwick, which is a complete redesign of the area, a new transfer station, etc. And the only thing I'm seeing here is maybe a bit of a collision course in terms of 2 different projects going on at the same time. Right, and reconfiguration is a pretty massive undertaking. It's going to require, no real disruption to business continuity. So probably something, I think there's an opportunity for us to maybe get together and talk about that, and how we can work schedules together, as well as opportunity perhaps to look at the PSE integration, because there will be some system relocation of facilities during the reconfiguration, as well as some additional load. So I think there's an opportunity there that we could have a pretty good conversation and make sure we're on the same page.
Yes, I agree, and we're more than willing or can do that anytime you guys want, if you want to do it early on now, or wait until we actually sign the agreement with PSC and start our development. We're amenable to working with you guys as necessary, and can go out there to Washington and sit down if that might be a lot easier to do it that in person, some of these things, than over Zoom meetings, especially if we're looking at design and context and schedules of how things flow, would probably be a little more efficient in person.
A question for you, Ken. Are you using an existing tariff, or are you negotiating a separate agreement with PSC?
So in terms of the tariff, we have no control. We have no say. We don't get involved in that side of any of it. PSC will be purchasing the power at a megawatt per hour level per our PPA, and then they do with it as they need to meet their requirements. And so in whatever specific tariffs that they allocate these megawatts to is within their context and on ours.
Thank you. Any other questions for anybody? Thank you, Rebecca. That was really good. So let's go on to hazardous waste management plan. That chapters 1 through 3. Wow.
It's 300 pages.
That's
almost.
300 pages, 100 pages per chapter, huh? Well, let's hear about that.
All right. Hi, everyone. All right, let me get my screen shared. All right, can everyone see that slideshow?
We can see your slide.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Rhodes. I'm also here with our partner, Wendy Mifflin from Herrera. And we have been working with Kimberly Graham on this project. Unfortunately, she is out sick today. Kimberly is the county PM for this project and the hazardous waste specialist for the Environmental Health Division. So the purpose of the hazardous waste management plan is to make recommendations for moderate risk waste MRW management strategies within the county over the next 5 years. And we will go into some more detail about the plan and what it entails in later slides today, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background first. Earlier this year, we partnered with the Thurston County Public Health and Social Services Department to update the hazardous waste management plan. It was last updated in 2014. So today we are here to present and discuss the draft plan and ask for feedback from the SWAC. So as was mentioned earlier, we only have 30 minutes at the meeting today. So we are going to use this time to provide an overview and try to get through just the first 3 chapters. And then we will actually be back at the November meeting to wrap up the presentation and address the remaining chapters. And so just a little more context to begin. The creation of both a county solid waste and hazardous waste management plan are required by the state. Counties may choose to combine them into a single plan or create 2 unique documents. And most counties in Washington have selected to combine the 2. Although Thurston County has opted to create 2 separate plans. So as Jeff mentioned earlier, the solid waste management plan is due for an update around 2026. And at that time, the county would have the option to either combine the 2 plans or continue to keep them separate. So this slide shows the process for updating the hazardous waste management plan. And since the plan is updated regularly, it is a cyclical process, as you can see. So we are in the stakeholder engagement and development of the preliminary draft plan phase. We have written the draft plan. We did send it over to the SWAC a couple of weeks ago for review ahead of this meeting. And at this point, I'd like to acknowledge that some SWAC members may be new, and this might be their first time participating in the regulatory review process. And this is a really important opportunity to review the document, provide feedback, and make sure it aligns with everyone's goals. Once the county and the SWAC are in agreement with the draft plan, we will send it over to Ecology for their first opportunity to review and comment. And once all feedback has been incorporated, representatives will take the plan back to their respective jurisdictions for adoption. So as a reminder, this is a high-level plan. The SWAC's role in this process is to advise, assist, and participate in this update, assist the county in the development of programs and policies, and review and comment on proposed solid waste management rules and policies. So this slide shows the plan outline. There are 6 chapters included in the plan, plus appendices with relevant documents. And we also plan to create a user-friendly story map, and this will be used as an educational tool. It will be posted to the county's website. It'll summarize the plan, including current waste management strategies and goals. And between this meeting and the November meeting, we will go through this plan chapter by chapter and answer any questions and hear any feedback. And so with that, we will dive into chapter 1. And the first chapter simply provides an introduction and background for the plan. So what is moderate risk waste? It is a term for household hazardous waste and hazardous waste generated by businesses in small quantities. And so this chapter provides information, background information such as that, definitions. It also covers the purpose of the plan, which is making recommendations for management strategies over the next 5 years. Chapter 1 also includes information about regulatory requirements. So legal authority for the plan is based in Washington statute, Thurston County Board of Health Environmental Health Codes and Regulations, and Thurston County Code. The state directs local governments to prepare plans and also describes what needs to be included in those plans. The Board of Health enacts and enforces local rules to protect public health, and the SWAC, of course, advises the board on solid waste management planning. This is a high-level summary of the goals of the plan, also described in chapter 1. The goals generally fall into 3 categories, as you can see here: facilities and programs, education and outreach, and compliance and enforcement. So facilities and programs, overall, they should be flexible, well documented, include collaboration, promote product stewardship. Of course, there's more details outlined in chapter 1, but just to provide more of a high level overview. Education and outreach should be focused on making responsible choices, equity, promotion of safe practices for both people and the environment. And of course, compliance and enforcement is important to ensure regulatory compliance and property management and proper management of MRW. This is a mission statement developed for the purpose of this plan. I won't read this out loud, but I will just pause here for a moment in case folks on the call want to read it.
Was that revised since the last plan, or is this a copy from 3-4?
Revised since the last plan.
What was revised? What was changed?
That is let me run back to it. That is a great question. Wendy Mifflin, you may have a response to that since you were involved in the early stages of this plan. But what I think it was a conversation between between, the county and us to look at the previous plan, make any necessary updates to make sure that it's current, and then just incorporate any goals that may have changed to the original statement.
So I think that, Dave, the SWAC needs to remember that when we started this planning process, I was at HDR and I brought you the SWAC, this mission statement for approval, which you did approve in a meeting. And then we also went through the goals and had those pre-approved by the SWAC before we started this planning process. So it was completely revised from the previous plan and had SWAC's approval moving forward.
Yeah, I was just interested in, what are we doing differently? What goals have changed? As I don't remember when that was approved, but I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, I think a lot of the goals are updated and approved because the last plan was done in 2014. And so there have been a lot of changes to the system since then. So I completely redid the mission statement and the goals.
Okay, I guess I can research the 2014 version and figure it out myself.
So this slide shows the planning area and authority for this plan. So the planning area includes the incorporated and unincorporated areas of the county. This includes cities and towns of Bucota, Lacey, Olympia, Rainier, Tenino, Tumwater, and Yelm. And the participating cities and towns have executed interlocal agreements with the county regarding solid waste management plans and have the opportunity to review and provide feedback. And then, as I mentioned earlier, adopt those final plans. Chapter 1 also includes the hazardous waste management plan development process, which is the slide that we saw earlier in the presentation. It includes relationships to other plans, such as the state solid and hazardous waste management plan, and also more details around regulatory overview at the federal, state, and local levels. Before we move on to chapter 2, are there any other questions on chapter 1? Great. Chapter 2. Chapter 2 includes demographic information and data on the local waste stream. So again, some more background information. Both of these graphs were pulled from chapter 2 of the plan, courtesy of the Thurston Regional Planning Council. And the top graph shows a population forecast in Thurston County. By 2045, the population is expected to reach close to 400,000 residents. Chapter 2 also includes information about racial diversity, Thurston County employment. You can see the second graph there, the bottom graph. Shows that between 2021 and 2022, employment sectors saw that the greatest increases in the number of jobs were in transportation and warehousing, professional and technical services, and management of companies and enterprises. And chapter 2 also includes information about a waste characterization study that HDR conducted in 2023 in Thurston County. 149 samples were collected over 3 seasons from residential, self-haul, commercial, and drop box sites. And the data from that study showed that on average, about 2% of the county's waste stream is hazardous waste. So 1.2 in the residential sector and 2.4 in the commercial sector. And common MRW materials that were noted in the waste stream included things like paint, batteries, chemicals, products containing mercury, and automotive products. Any questions on chapter 2? So chapter 3 describes a survey that was conducted for the purpose of this plan update to increase public participation in the plan. We developed the public survey for the community to give the opportunity to share input on MRW management programs and behaviors. This effort really helped to shine light on opportunities for improvement and also helped inform the final recommendations of this plan. Overall, we received 166 responses from the survey effort. The survey occurred over a 3-week period in July. It was administered both on-site at the Hazo House as well as off-site at various locations. The purpose of that was to try to catch folks that may not be aware of the Hazo House. We didn't want to exclusively survey at the Hazo House because of course, all those folks are aware of the Hazo House. Off-site locations included the county building at the atrium, the recycling drop-off center at the work, so just an alternate location at the work, and the Thurston County Fair. There was also an online survey available to all Thurston County residents. And that online survey was linked to a QR code that was distributed on a handout. It was linked on various county websites as well as social media blasts. And Chapter 3 also includes findings from a previous survey effort conducted in 2022 that surveyed South County residents specifically. So there are lots of findings included in Chapter 3. The full survey results are included in an appendix. This slide just covers some of the high-level findings. A main barrier that was identified by participants to using the Hazo House was travel time. So nearly a third of the respondents travel less than 5 miles to the Hazo House and 80% travel less than 15 miles. Some highlighted opportunities for improvement included increasing access to hazardous waste disposal countywide. There was interest in a household hazardous waste reuse program, as well as increasing education and outreach overall. So for example, 13% of participants were aware of the Business Pollution Prevention Program, and less than half claimed to have participated in a take-back program like eCycle. And when asked what the county could do to improve household hazardous waste disposal service, the most common responses were convenient disposal options, such as pickup services or additional drop-off locations. And the 2022 South County survey, the other survey I mentioned, it also showed that additional hazardous waste services were a priority for residents, and that about half the participants were only willing to travel up to 10 miles to a disposal site. So similar findings from the 2 survey efforts. And the findings of this survey were used to help inform the final recommendations that we'll actually be covering in the next presentation in November. And so this is everything that we were planning to cover today. But as I said, we'll be back next month to talk about the remaining chapters. And I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but we probably have some time for any questions or comments thus far.
Questions from anybody? Okay.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
In the first slide, when you started this this presentation, which is excellent, thank you for all of this. The person was under the sink looking at hazardous things in the house. Is that still a program that is with the Department of Health? Wasn't there something some years ago where you could call or request someone to come and look through your cleaning products and so forth and help you understand what is toxic, what's bad, and especially families that had children? Do I have this mixed up with some other board I'm on?
I can speak to that. Joan, I think I know what you're referring to. This is Jennifer Johnson with Public Health. And we have a very robust Healthy Homes program.
That's it, Healthy Homes. I couldn't think of the name.
Yeah, and so we primarily focus on education. That's a big part of what we do in the community is provide education on, first of all, reducing the amount of household hazardous materials that people have, really trying to educate folks on how to read labels so that they can prioritize choosing safer products. And then safe storage is kind of the next piece. And that photograph really showed exactly what we're saying is, rather than a jumble of cleaning products underneath your sink, the recommendation is that you put them in the second container that has a lid, stored on a shelf out of the reach of children. And then, of course, the third component of that is taking unwanted hazardous materials to Hazo House. So we do that education really, we really focus on that in the community. But I think what you're specifically referring to is, we used to have the ability to do some technical assistance in people's homes, and we have not done that since the start of the pandemic. And I don't know that we will actually get back to providing in-home technical assistance, but we are working on, we do still take a lot of phone calls and provide the assistance that way. And we are looking at how to streamline some of the previous work that we were doing in homes, so that we can provide that technical assistance over the phone and then also on our website.
Yeah, that was valuable to a number of people. I got comments about it in, as a council member in Tumwater, and they thought we were doing it, but I didn't feel right about taking credit. So anyway, I talked about the program, and it really helped, especially some lower income people, single mothers with kids and so forth. So I thought that was a really good thing to be, talking about a healthy county. I think you had some theme or something, but anyway, I want to tell you, people still remember it.
Yeah, thank you. That's great to hear. And like I said, we are still providing all of that, information and assistance, and we get out in the community and talk to, hundreds and hundreds of people every year about these topics. It's just the going into people's homes became more challenging, and that is probably not sustainable. It very staff intensive.
Yeah. Do you have brochures or literature that you let people know what is, toxic or hazardous things?
So much, yes. We have so many materials.
Yeah.
And those are all on our website, but then that's part also of our point of purchase program we talked about last month with the education update. So we try to have those in essentially all of the locations where you can buy hazardous materials. So the box stores and the nurseries, we have them at community centers and libraries. And then that's a big part of our tabling efforts, is exactly that. How do you read a label? How do you know it's hazardous? What are the safer products that you can purchase? We provide healthy homes kits, we call them, which is basically just a green cleaning kit. And we do provide those, especially for low income folks. So we work with the Family Support Center to provide those to people that are moving from homelessness into housing, work with community youth services, and a ton of different organizations, so that we are providing directly those safe and healthy cleaning products.
It's wonderful what you're doing. It really makes a difference for people to understand that. And you even run across people who have a hard time reading, period, and then they're looking at all these hazardous things on their bottles. And so it's really good. Well, I'm glad you got a chance to. I'm glad I asked the question, because there may be people on the board here now that don't know about that program, and I feel like it dovetails with what we're talking about, trying to have a good, safe county response to helping people into hazardous waste. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a follow-up. So thinking about this waste characterization study that showed twice the percentage from non-household waste as household waste. So what is being done currently for educating the businesses, reaching out to them and reducing that kind of inappropriate disposal in the solid waste stream?
So I will chime in and say, we are going to be covering programs at the next November meeting. And just in the interest of time, I'm wondering if we should shelve these questions for that presentation, because I do expect there will be some great conversation around those topics.
Let me chip in is that we have until 11:30, so we got another 20 minutes available-ish. So anyway, we are doing good on time. But I just wanted to just throw that in there for everybody.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on the discussion.
No, that's no problem at all.
Anybody answer that question about what are we doing for businesses right now? Educating them?
Well, I mean, I can kind of jump in. You know, this is Kim's programs. And so that's, you know, part of what Emily is getting at is that I'm sure Kim will have information, but I know that there is a robust program for businesses through public health, through environmental health. I don't have any of the stats or anything, but finally there's kind of a full staff over there. And so I know that they're working with, the way that they do it is they choose a particular business, am I trying to say like categories? So, you know, they'll work with all of the automotive folks and then they'll go to all of the dentists. And so I know that they're doing, I know that they're doing a lot over there with business pollution prevention. And part of that in recent years involves, rather than going in and just telling businesses, oh, you're doing this incorrectly, they're actually able to provide a lot of resources for them. So for example, if one of the issues is that a business isn't providing secondary containment for their hazardous materials, they can go in and actually provide that secondary containment and really make sure before they leave a business that they are properly storing and disposing of their waste, rather than so a lot more emphasis on helping reduce barriers and less emphasis on using the regulatory stick that they have. So yeah, I want Kim to speak to that, but I know that there is a lot of business pollution prevention work happening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And the business pollution prevention is included in that next chapter as well. So I don't know if we only ask that you review chapters 1 through 3 in the plan for the purpose of this meeting, but it does go into a good amount of detail on that program in chapter 4.
Thank you.
Of course.
Anything else for HDR or Herrera? Okay, very good.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help with this. Okay, Mr. Bickford, looks like you're up.
And I don't have too much more. I didn't plan much because I thought we'd actually run up to the edge of time. So, so good job, all of you, for being very efficient today.
Yeah.
So we'll have more of, and next month we'll have more of a capital projects update. So that we don't have a lot going on, just a couple small projects, or not small, but just a couple projects to talk about. But other than that, just kind of wanted to let you know that we're currently working with the county's emergency management department. We're working on an update to the county's comprehensive emergency management plan. So I believe they're hoping to have a draft of that of the updated plan near the end of this year. So it'll be something that we'll probably. I know emergency management is the lead on this. We're kind of an adjunct to that plan. Our part specifically is a section really that deals with debris management after a large disaster. That's typically our involvement. So it'll be incorporating our debris management plan, which we have a separate plan for that, into this. But this plan kind of talks about roles and responsibilities of different agencies. So this is a heads up that there'd be something like that coming along early next year. So I think we could probably, once it's up and available, something we could bring forth to the SWAC just to have a view and take a look at. So just so you'd be a little more aware about it. And that really was the only other update. We talked a lot about recycling programs and waste reduction programs last month, and we'll talk about the capital facilities next month. I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions.
A little project I know you've been working on is looking into reuse at the Hassel House, and maybe in future, meetings, we can get some updates on how that's going.
And you might even just, because Laura's been working, she's sitting next to you, she's been working on that, and that'll be kind of tied in. I know that I believe there's actually some recommendations in the upcoming chapters of the plan that we'll hear about next month as well. So
cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Any questions for Jeff from anybody? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I keep having trouble finding my mute button in time before you're ready to go on to something else. Since one of the things, I've forgotten which presenter it was, and I want to agree with you, Jeff, they did an excellent job today with, all the charts and the graphics and the things that your staff had today and how they presented it. It was very good. And because of the question I asked, I'm sure they know I've been here a long time. So anyway, I was wondering if, since one of the responses that you got were people wondering if there could be ever any other drop-offs other than Hassel House, is the reason that that's difficult, or a couple of the reasons, is just a place and staff for that. I know that a couple of my council members wondered, I don't know why they brought this particular thing up, but they said like a paint drop off or something that was closer when people, or could it be seasonal, or all kinds of things. And I don't have any answer, because I don't think we've talked about anything like that in detail. So now that it's been one of your top asks, I just wondered how we're responding.
I can address some of that. As far as the first one, I'm going to jump to the paint drop-offs. I mean, obviously we are a paint back associated drop-off here at Hassel House. However, there are actually several other retail paint locations that you can drop off as well. So it's not just us. Matter of fact, the other ones preceded us. They're smaller, and we get a lot more volume, because obviously people will come to us with that as well as other items. We probably take larger quantities than some of those spots. So there are other opportunities. But to address your point, is one of the things, if you recall, when we were talking about the prospect of a new South County transfer station, one of the recommendations in that, and it was one of the things that they even mentioned, the surveying just a little bit ago, when we did those on-site surveys, is one of the things that people wanted was more availability for being able to take organics, and some more additional recycling opportunities. But one of the top things asked for was some household hazardous waste drop-off opportunities. So that is something, as it's a little more out in the future, and that's really because we really don't have any opportunities out in the South County currently. So that is something that we would definitely, I would anticipate, if we do that development, or when we do that development eventually, is that will be incorporated, some level. It may not be quite as extensive as it is here at the Hassel House, and a lot of it is lack of facilities from the perspective of, you need, some of the materials are, again, hazardous, flammable, you need to have an appropriate type of facility to be able to manage those, store those temporarily at least. So that's one aspect of it. So that part's challenging. Now that being said, I know additionally, we used to years ago do occasional remote events, the household hazardous waste collection events that we typically, they're 1-dayers. We've all I think, we've seen those out there before. That, in the interim, that might be something that we would look and consider in some more outbound areas, such as particularly South County would come to mind, just, maybe in Tenino or something like that, where you could be a hub for like a one-day event, just to give folks those opportunities to unload their barns and basements and garages. As you know, I've been to a lot of those events before in the past, and yeah, you get it's a good opportunity. So it's something else that we're potentially looking at as well. So
Great. Well, thanks for that. Those are some good responses I can use when people ask.
Yeah, I think it's been at least 15 years since the collection event has been held in South County. And, the rationale historically has been, well, we just don't have the budget and the staff. So, now that we're over 300,000 people, I mean, the county's doubled since I've been here. So, one facility for 150,000, maybe okay. But yeah, I think for 300 and the growth we're experiencing, we do need to step up our game, I think.
I see Steve Gilmore has his hand up.
Yeah, so Jeff, you kind of hit one of the things I was going to hit on, which is a remote event. We're actually Republic is actually doing 4 of them next year in Kellam County, around the county. So they're going to keep their facility open as well as do rural events. So I think even Jefferson County has gone away from a staffed facility to doing just mobile events as well. So definitely something to think about. And with Paint Care in the mix, the costs associated with those mobile events are actually substantially less than they have been in the past, because Paint Care pays generously for that type of material being brought to those events. So something to keep in mind.
And you make a good point, Steve, is paint, both latex and oil-based, typically, for most facilities, can be anywhere from 50 to 60% of the volume they receive. So that does, you're right, and this Paint Care covers that.
Yeah, Paint Care will even pay for the transportation costs associated with that material from the event, as well as mobilization for the event. So there's something to keep in mind, that the cost structure from years past has changed pretty substantially because of Paint Care.
Yeah, and also there's going to be legislation to have product stewardship programs for all household hazardous waste coming up in the next session. So, I don't know if it'll pass right away, but there's a trend toward having more and more of the things that are now being paid 100% by the county are going to be more and more, going to make it more affordable for us to do more for our citizens. Absolutely. And I actually would hope that we can extend even to doing more collection for businesses also. I think that's a place where we can also improve going forward.
See one more hand raised. I think it's Kylie.
This is Jennifer. I'm sorry, I don't know why it turns up as Kylie. But I did want to just state, I've worked here for 20 plus years, and we used to do waste mobiles, particularly down in the South County, at least a couple of years, and those were, very well attended by the community. And it's also, as an educator, I'll just say, it's also a great opportunity to provide education to folks about how to reduce the amount of waste they're producing. And of course, keeping in mind that, especially down in South County, such an agricultural area, a lot of times we would get, banned pesticides. And so it was really a great way to collect a lot of really, really harmful materials.
Going back just a minute to the business waste, that Yakima actually had one of the better programs in the state, and Wendy Mifflin might know a little bit about that. So maybe that could be, her knowledge base could be tapped for some ideas out of Yakima.
I'm trying to start my video. So I think this is really a great conversation, because when we get into the next 3 chapters, they go into actual operations and the planning for not only operations, but education and outreach and all of that. And I will tell you that one of the recommendations that I think is missing, that that HDR and Herrera want to have with this group is how to handle turn-ins or something happening in the South County. So you'll see that. And we'll go through that when we get to those chapters. But we had a huge program in Yakima County for business waste collection. I think at one point we might have been the largest in the state, with materials running through our household hazardous waste facility for businesses. And so have some knowledge of how that works. And I think Dave does too. We worked together on some of the programs when I was down there. So that'll be exciting when we get into those chapters for Thurston County.
Anything else? Any other discussion from anybody, anyhow, anywhere? Thank you, Wendy, for that. Okay, thank you, Jeff, for your manager's report. We kind of went way off target, but it's all good, I think. Good. It's nice to have the time to have these kind of discussions and have to rush to the end. So, anything roundtable from any of the SWAC members? Anybody have issues they want to chat about or tell us what great things have happened in your life or your program? Maybe your program. Okay. One thing maybe that I'll bring up is, so wondering about possibly a carpool. Some of us are gonna go to the Pioneer Murph next week. Any thoughts about getting, maybe going to the parking lot by the work there, to carpool? I don't know how many people are scheduled to go at this point.
Oh, 15?
15?
Yeah.
I think that could be a few carpools.
So from SWAC so far, I have Aaron, Chad, David, Lisa are gonna go. And then the rest of the people attending will either be public works staff or public health staff.
Okay. About how long a trip is it from the work to Pioneer?
Depending on traffic, it could be anywhere from like 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
I'm hoping that it'll be in that range when we
Okay.
go, because it's a little early, but it's
We're supposed to be there at 9.
9 to 11.
So
yes.
if we plan to meet at, 8 or shortly after 8 there.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have a minivan, so I could take all the SWAC members and maybe some staff if they're willing to drive with me.
Minivans are great.
All right, so I will try to be there, and I'll park over by where like the electric chargers are, just to a part of that, and I'll try to be there about 8. It's a dark blue Sienna Toyota minivan, 2001, so hopefully it'll get there and back. But yeah, so anyway, that's the invitation to SWAC members to carpool together. And I don't know about other people, the other 10 or so. Are
Yeah,
they,
10,
I wonder
11.
how they could meet at 8 o'clock at that same place if they wanted to carpool. Okay, trying to reduce our emissions, meet our climate goals.
Mhm.
Okay.
Electric cars.
Cool. Anything else? Any other roundtable from anybody? No? Okay. Announcements? Any announcements to be made? Births, deaths, marriages, we're all. Okay, all right. Let's just call it then. I guess we'll be adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.